The story coming out of New York today has Knicks fans buzzing because newest Nick Jordan Clarkson has made it absolutely clear this was never really a free agency sweepstake. From the moment his buyout was finalized, Clarkson had only one destination in mind, and that was Madison Square Garden. He revealed it during a live podcast appearance, and the way he described it left no room for doubt. New York was always his first choice. There wasn't a list of options, there wasn't hesitation, there wasn't even a second team in the conversation. For Clarkson, it was simple. I want to be a Knick. And here's how it all went down. According to reports from Steph Bondi of the New York Post, Clarkson was actually attending Wimbledon, watching Carlos Alcaraz play when his phone rang. On the other end was his agent, Rich Paul, asking him the one question every free agent dreams about. Where do you want to go? Clarkson didn't think twice. He answered, I want to come to New York. That was it. Within minutes, Rich Paul reached out to the Knicks' front office, and in practically no time at all, Clarkson was officially a Knick. No drama, no drawn-out process. One phone call, one decision, one result. That's how fast it happened. And Clarkson himself explained why it was so easy. For him, there was no other team that made sense. He said it on the show. He wanted the energy of the Garden, he wanted the passion of the New York fans, and he wanted the pressure that comes with playing in the biggest basketball stage in the world. Madison Square Garden isn't just an arena to him, it's a proving ground. Clarkson said he craves that intensity. The boos when you're not at your best, the love when you rise to the occasion, and the constant expectation that forces you to bring your A game every single night. That, he explained, is what fuels him. And there's another layer to this. Jalen Brunson hinted that he and Clarkson had talked about the possibility of playing together long before this summer. It wasn't some last-second connection. There had been conversations about teaming up, about being part of the same backcourt rotation, and now it has become a reality. Clarkson said it felt natural, and Brunson even admitted during the podcast taping that the two had envisioned this pairing in New York well before free agency unfolded. For Knicks fans, this is refreshing, because over the years, we've seen stars and role players alike avoid the bright lights of the Garden. Some players run away from the pressure of New York. They don't want the scrutiny, the constant headline, the energy that never lets up. But Clarkson is different. He wanted it. He chose it. He didn't settle for the Knicks. He targeted them. And that kind of commitment says a lot about what he's bringing into this locker room. Now, here's the kicker. Clarkson agreed to join the Knicks on a veteran minimum contract. That's what makes this story even bigger. A proven scorer, a sixth Man of the Year winner, and a battle-tested playoff performer, choosing to come to New York for the minimum because this is where he wants to be. That's not just a signing, that's a statement. It shows he's motivated, it shows he's hungry, and it shows he's ready to embrace every bit of what comes with wearing orange and blue. But of course, the podcast appearance wasn't all business, because sitting right next to Clarkson was Josh Hart. And in typical Josh Hart fashion, he couldn't resist getting a few jokes in at the expense of Clarkson's old team, the Utah Jazz. Hart told Clarkson not to worry about the change in atmosphere because Madison Square Garden is nothing like Salt Lake City. He said, the Garden's going to be great vibes. It's going to be different from Utah. We got more flavor to our crowd, brother. Don't worry about it. It was classic Josh Hart. Playful, sharp, and the kind of energy that makes him such a beloved teammate and personality. And while it was lighthearted, it also carried a message. Playing at MSG is a different experience. The Garden crowd is rowdy, it's passionate, it's unpredictable, and it creates an environment that very few places in the league can replicate. Clarkson smiled, and you could tell he's ready for it. So, as Clarkson officially begins this next chapter of his career, the message is clear. He didn't just land in New York, he chose New York. He wanted the lights, he wanted the energy, and he wanted to prove himself on the biggest stage in basketball. And as we sit here in early September, you can feel the excitement around this Knicks team building. The fans are ready, the Garden is ready, and Jordan Clarkson, he's more than ready. As the conversation rolled on, the attention shifted toward the Garden itself, and Josh Hart's comments struck a real chord. He looked Clarkson in the eye, and told him what it really means to play in New York. He said the Garden crowd is different. It's alive, it's passionate, it's unpredictable, and they'll give you everything you need to feel that energy every single night. Hart was honest, too. He reminded Clarkson that yes, in New York, fans will let you hear it when things aren't going your way, but he also said the flip side is unlike anything else in sports. When you deliver, when you show heart, when you play with fire, they will back you harder than any fan base in the league. And as a New Yorker myself, I can say this much: Josh Hart couldn't be more right. Because the reality is, Clarkson didn't always get that in Utah. The Jazz, at the time, were in the middle of a reset. They were shifting toward a younger core, moving away from competing at the highest level. And the truth is, when you're in that kind of situation, no matter how hard you play, it often goes underappreciated. Clarkson was a sixth man of the year. He was giving Utah a legitimate scoring punch off the bench. But the fan base was watching a team more concerned with lottery odds than playoff runs. That's a tough environment for any competitor, and Clarkson knew it. That's part of why this move to New York means so much. He's stepping into a situation where winning isn't just the hope, it's the expectation. And Knicks fans are built for that. They demand the best, but when you give it to them, they reward you with love, loyalty, and support like no other. That's why Clarkson is going to fit right in. He's wired for that challenge. He knows exactly what his role is going to be here. Provide instant offense, bring energy off the bench, and be a stabilizing presence when the Knicks need a spark. And this time, instead of putting up numbers for a team just trying to get through a rebuild, he's putting up numbers for a team that has its eyes set squarely on a championship. That changes everything. Now, let's put this into context. Because it's not just about Clarkson's arrival, it's about what it represents for the Knicks as a whole. A few years ago, if you looked at preseason betting odds, New York wasn't even in the conversation. The Knicks were buried in the standing, often near the very bottom of the Eastern Conference, and the idea of them being a serious contender felt like a distant memory. That's not the case anymore. The perception around the Knicks has shifted, and that's something you can see reflected in the latest projections for the Atlantic Division. According to FanDuel Sportsbook, the Knicks are the overwhelming favorites to win their division this season. They're sitting at 280, miles ahead of the next closest team, the Philadelphia 76ers at plus 600. After that, you've got the Celtics at plus 800, the Raptors at plus 3,000, and then, way down the list, the Brooklyn Nets at plus 25,000. Essentially, no chance at all. And think about that for a second. 10 years ago, the Knicks were being laughed at, considered irrelevant, while the Nets were viewed as the team with momentum. Now, the script has completely flipped. New York is once again the center of basketball in this city, and the Knicks are the team that people expect to make noise. And these odds aren't just numbers. They tell a story. They tell us that the Knicks are no longer a punchline. They're a team that the league has to respect, a team that has rebuilt its reputation brick by brick. They're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. They're a target. That's the pressure Clarkson signed up for. That's the reason he wanted this stage. And that's why his decision matters. Because he's embracing the challenge of being on a team with real expectations, not hiding from it. When you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, this roster has been carefully crafted for this very moment. The Knicks front office has made moves with one thing in mind: winning at the highest level. You look at the addition. Players like Gershon Yabusele, role players who can give depth and toughness, and of course Clarkson, who adds instant scoring. These are pieces that fit the vision of a contender. Combine that with Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Josh Hart, and the core that's already established. And suddenly the Knicks aren't just hoping for a playoff run. They're aiming at something far bigger. And let's be honest, the talk inside the organization is no longer about just getting into the postseason. It's about competing for a championship. That's the bar now. And when you listen to Clarkson talk about why he chose New York, you hear it in his voice. He's not here to ride out the rest of his career quietly. He's here because he wants to help the Knicks take the next step. So here we are, early in the season, and the buzz around this team feels different. Clarkson wanted the lights, he wanted the Garden, and now he's got it. And with betting markets, with analysts, And with fans all lining up behind this team, the opportunity in front of the Knicks is massive. Winning the Atlantic Division? That's just the first step. The goal is much bigger, getting to the finals and bringing a championship back to New York. For the first time in a long time, that doesn't sound like wishful thinking. It sounds like a real possibility.